The member for Nedlands.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. My grievance today is to the Minister for Energy, and I thank the Minister for taking my grievance on an issue that is important to residents in a particular part of my electorate, and one that has been raised with me virtually since the day I was elected, namely the uneven rollout of underground power in the City of Nedlands and whether it will finally come to the wards south of Stirling Highway. Stirling Highway divides my electorate into Dalkeith and parts of Nedlands on the south side, and to the north areas including the Hollywood Nedlands ward where I live and where we are neighbours to 3 statewide hospitals and a primary school. The entirety of Dalkeith and Swanbourne has had underground power for some 23 years, while areas north of the highway, including the Hollywood ward, Mount Claremont and Floreat under the city's boundaries, who are still waiting. There are 1,700 households that have been waiting for 23 years to be treated equitably with their north side neighbours when it comes to the climate and amenity benefits provided by underground power. Having been resident in the city for many local council elections, underground power for the remainder of the City of Nedlands has been an election discussion and commitment ever since Dalkeith's underground power was completed 23 years ago. Indeed, the 2022 by-elections for the Hollywood ward and the last 2 mayoral elections focused heavily on this issue, with electoral success for those who campaigned on progressing underground power. There was even the formation of a local community group, the Hollywood Underground Power Action Group, who were active within the community seeking support for the undergrounding of power to the remaining lots in the City of Nedlands. In 2014, the City undertook a community consultation process on underground power, which showed then that it was important to the community as it would improve amenity and safety, and further residents indicated a willingness to pay, albeit with a variety of payment schemes proposed. The City's own strategic plan, 2018 to 2028, identified underground power as one of its 8 strategic priority areas. And again this week, the Council approved yet another community consultation process on underground power. As I said, underground power is an issue that has been raised with me pre and immediately post the 2021 election. And recently, in response to community concerns about the retention of tree canopy, I completed a survey with residents in Nedlands, asking them how we could best protect tree canopy in the electorate. We contacted over 2,500 residents, and the completion of underground power was a key finding from across the area, from those with and without underground power. They noted it would stop the unnecessary pruning of trees, that is, pruning completed for the appropriate protection of power lines rather than for the health of the tree as such. The nature of this pruning can have an impact on the shape and aesthetic of the tree, as it is not pruned for those purposes. Tree canopy, of course, also provides climate and amenity benefits, and residents are very committed to ensuring its protection. I do note that the responsibility for underground power is one shared by the state government, residents and local government. Our state government knows underground power benefits residents with safer electricity, improved reliability, reduced maintenance costs and enhanced streetscapes and visual amenity. My understanding is the state government is ready to meet its responsibility in this regard, as the design phase for the City of Nedlands is now complete and the works part of the scheduling of the undergrounding of power across the metropolitan area by Western Power. The rest would come from council and affected households who, as I noted in the earlier community consultation, have indicated a strong willingness to pay. Indeed, when Hollywood West was completed in 2019, nearly 2/3 of affected ratepayers paid their 50% share up front. So there is more than just a stated willingness to pay. Residents have put their money where their mouth is. According to a cost-benefit study commissioned by the City and conducted by ACIL Allen, residents who received underground power would receive a significant benefit of $7.53 for every dollar spent, though across the City as a whole would get back just 43 cents for every dollar. I do note, however, that 78% of residents have actually enjoyed themselves the benefits of underground power already for 23 years. The cost-benefit analysis does not capture some of the intangible benefits of underground power for the entirety of the City of Nedlands, in particular the amenity and positive climate impact. Despite this very clearly established community investment and wish for underground power, according to a Post newspaper article published earlier this month, and I quote, "A long-awaited project to bury the last overhead power lines in Nedlands could be a bad idea," according to the Mayor, delivering a blow to residents who have waited decades for underground power. This blow was delivered based on the council's lack of willingness to pay for underground power, as it would apparently require them to ignore other maintenance works and projects. However, I do note the City has also chosen to freeze rates for the last 3 years, and the Mayor recently published in an advertisement in the Post that the City is currently operating under budget by $1.6 million for this financial year, with staff costs alone currently $730,000 under budget. It is unclear then how the Council is aligning community wishes for underground power with claims that it cannot afford it. Councillors have also suggested that, and I quote again, Nedlands has been left out of state government funding for underground power due to its affluence, when rather there has been 23 years for them to participate in numerous government schemes, and the most affluent area of the city was granted underground power by the council decades ago. It could be suggested that the bias towards affluence is not that of the state government. Another councillor in a letter to the Post last week stated, there are 1,701 dwellings in the City of Nedlands that are unlikely to receive underground power in the foreseeable future without the City itself taking a role, given the state government's lack of interest in the project. It's rare that I agree with this councillor, but the City itself does indeed need to take a leading role. I refute that the state government is uninterested in the project, given that we have already completed our responsibilities towards it. Given the wait that residents in the key parts of the City of Nedlands have had to wait for the completion of underground power, commencing over 20 years ago in Keith, today I'm seeking reassurance from the Minister for Energy that the state government is committed to the completion of underground power in the City of Nedlands and that it remains on the government's rollout agenda. Confirmation that the design phase, the responsibility of state government, is complete. Confirmation of where the responsibility for the completion of underground power in the City of Nedlands lies, and confirmation that the state government's responsible authorities for underground power will work with the City of Nedlands to ensure that underground power is delivered to the remainder of Nedlands. Thank you, Minister.
The Minister for Energy.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you very much. And I thank the member for the grievance, and I know that this is an issue that regularly gets raised by constituents, and I congratulate her on bringing such a clear issue to the community on behalf of the community to me. I'll go through some detail, but I just want to make it clear Western Power is ready to go on the undergrounding in Nedlands. Indeed, its plan is to commence the works in September 2023, so just in a few months' time. The only thing we're waiting for is the City of Nedlands taking its responsibility and allowing us to proceed. So I'll just give you some background to underground power. Western Australia is the only place in Australia that does programmed underground power for existing suburbs. Obviously new suburbs take underground power, but for existing sites, generally speaking around Australia, like for like replacement, so overhead is replaced by overhead. Here in Western Australia we've had this program since 1996, 100 projects seeing over 100,000 homes converted to underground power. And we work closely, Western Power works closely with local governments to implement these projects. And, you know, at the moment we're working with the City of South Perth, the City of Canning on retrospective underground power projects. And of course we've worked with Nedlands in the past. I note that your neighbours at the City of Subiaco are all underground. Some of that was done as part of the state government underground program, but others were funded entirely by the city and executed by Western Power, but funded by the city. So that's perhaps a model that the City of Nedlands could look at, because it's only just literally across the street. So there's 4 current programs for underground power. The State Underground Power Project, which started in 1996, and that's now coming to an end. The last projects will be completed next year. We've had a trial called the Network Renewal Underground Program Pilot, which was run by Western Power to test the costs to make sure that it could be done in conjunction with with local governments to overcome historic issues, and that program has been a success and is leading on to the targeted underground power program. So what this does is it replaces the SUT, the original project, and what it does is the sites are not selected on the basis of tenders by the local government, which is what ended up happening there. So local governments wanted to pay more, would get advanced. Instead, it's driven by the needs for the network, and therefore the investment that Western Power can make is maximised, which reduces the expectation of local government. There's also the retrospective undergrounding project, which is where a local government chooses to fund the entire project, like City of Subiaco did, and then they can come back to work together. So the City of Nedlands underground project is a retrospective underground project, a partnership between the City and Western Power. I can confirm that Western Power and the State Government are committed to this project, and Western Power has completed all the detailed design phase, and indeed Western Power's plan is to commence the construction of the project in September of this year. However, the City of Nedlands has advised Western Power of a delay in their business case, and they say that they'll now present information to the council in May of this year. I make it clear that we've directed Western Power only to proceed with projects where there's a vote of the elected members, so that there can be no argument about whether approval of the council has been given that was a challenge in previous years. If the council delays their decision to May, it may delay the project for a number of reasons, but principally because the engineering resources that would be applied to the project will necessarily be applied to another project, and therefore, because of planning issues inside Western Power, it won't have the resources available to do this project. So it's very important that the council gives a clear indication to Western Power as quickly as possible that we have to get this project underway this year. Otherwise, even if they then make a decision, say in June or July, it will be too late for the project to proceed this year. Now, Western Power wants to continue to work closely with the City of Nedlands, and I make it clear that the only reason there's been so much advanced work is because we've been engaged with the City of Nedlands, and the City of Nedlands has been urging Western Power to do these works. So I would be disappointed if the City of Nedlands changed its mind on wanting this benefit for residents in your constituency. I want to address the next issue, which is this argument that some have raised about the government's commitment to areas areas of higher land values. Now, we are committed to areas of higher land value, and Western Power continues to put resources into those projects. Everybody should understand that in a new suburb, regardless of the value of the land, the resident pays 100% of the cost of undergrounding because it's done by the developer and included in the block price when the person purchases it. So there is no subsidy at all for new fringe areas of the metropolitan area. That we do not subsidise those at all. There is a subsidy here. It's because we can take the future value of the overhead network renewal costs and apply it to the undergrounding project. And the community is only expected to meet the gap, and that's why there is a charge to residents. Most local governments work with the residents to make sure that those that are perhaps land rich but income poor can delay the payment of those charges, and other councils work with all residents to stretch the payments over a period of time. Councils have effectively unlimited borrowing capacity, and many of them have millions and millions of dollars in reserves, so there should be no challenge for managing the costs in these projects. And the fact that the City of Canning, out my way in Cannington, can manage these issues effectively without any challenges, it does raise a question about why these challenges exist for the City of Nedlands.